So I'm here today with Max Bell. I drove up here to Auburn, and it's a nice, beautiful Sunday. We should probably be out there right now, right, Max?
We should be in the blue sky.
Yeah, we should be out detecting, but I came here and he pulled out some goodies for you guys to check out. Man, look at this collection. I don't even know where to start here. We'll get to this stuff in a minute, but start right here with some of these incredible Gold Rush buckles. And Max wrote the book. We've talked about this before in a previous video that he wrote the book, and I'll show you a picture of that book in a second, but it's neat to come over here and look at an incredible collection and talk to the actual guy who wrote the book on these. So we'll talk a little bit about each one of these as we go here.
All right, so I'm just going to point at them, and you can see this. This is the Navy officer's buckle, dates late 1840s, early 1850s. You see the pictures of the sea of masts in San Francisco Harbor. Those Navy ships that came in there, everybody deserted and went to the goldfields. That's the officer's buckle from those Navy officers. This is the fireman buckle, fireman pumper card on it. This again is 1852-3, real early. This buckle plate we suspect could possibly be Mexican War, could be Stevenson's regiment or another military outfit in California prior to statehood. So
can you talk about a little bit about Stevenson's regiment is?
Well, Stevenson's regiment, 1st California Volunteers, were put together in New York. 800 souls shipped out to California in 3 ships and came here specifically to help conquer and colonize California. They were to stay for the duration of the Mexican War. When the war was over, they wouldn't be brought home to muster out in New York State where they came from. They would stay in California and colonize. So they were selected as tradesmen that had some useful trade that they could use to colonize, carpenters, printmakers, and all kinds of stuff. So anyways, that's...
So those guys were here, and they had select camps here and there that were scattered throughout Gold Country?
They were here in 1846. Some of them went to Southern California, some of them stayed in Monterey, some of them stayed in San Francisco. There wasn't a lot of big battles in the Mexican War, actually, but they stayed through the end of the Mexican War, ended in 1848. Gold was, in the books they'll tell you, was discovered at Sutter's Mill. And in January of 48, but they mustered out in March and October of 1848. So they just happened to be sitting in California the first year of the gold rush. So what did they do? They went right to the gold camps and started mining. So
just like everybody else, huh? Yeah.
They couldn't wait. They were making $8 and $12 a month as soldiers. And they were making 30 to innumerable dollars
digging gold.
Mining,
yeah.
depending upon how early they got there and how lucky they were. But so some of the other buckles, California State Seal. This is again 1850, 1851, made by William Tosick and Company out of New York. Really historic piece. I mean, it doesn't get much more intricate than that. And those were worn by the miners and businessmen and found in the gold country. And again, just a great piece.
Yeah.
And this is we call the Oval Eagle, another large belt plate from that same time period. I found that one in a town that dates 1851. So pretty good stuff.
Yeah. And also, I'll show you here in a second the comparison, but you can see these are thick, heavy cast brass, and these are thin stamped brass. Big difference in weight and construction. And oh, there you go. Here's a good example of the stamped and the cast. Look at that. Same design, kind of.
So the cast miner, there's a number of different examples, but there's it's a little bit more common than the stamped miner, but they're still extremely rare. We have identified 2 separate molds for this now, and they're both featured right here. I don't know if you can tell the difference.
Get this in the light and we'll take a look.
This
Oh,
one,
yeah.
this one has a lined background in the field. This one does not. The detail on the miner and everything, very minute details, but a different casting totally. I
Yeah.
believe this was the first casting.
Okay.
This was reworked in the second casting. There's only 2 that I've seen of this and 15 of this. So
Wow. 2 that you've seen of this up here.
of that upper
Oh,
casting.
okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
I
Yeah.
thought this was the only one until my friend showed me one a couple weeks ago
Yeah.
that he had found.
Okay. I like the face on this guy here. He looks actually like you can see his eyes and nose and everything there. It looks really good for small detail like that.
Yep.
This one always has a kind of a weird looking face to it, but
Yeah, it kind of looks like a bear instead
Yeah.
of a person. We'll move that one. Then this one is
now these 3 on the bottom here are all stamped, right? These are all stamped brass.
yeah, these 3 and this one stamped brass, much thinner material, much flimsier. But
So you have an upside down anchor here, is that right?
well, it's debatable. But the only known daguerreotype showing a miner wearing that is wearing it in that position, and the tongue piece is on the left-hand side on 90% of the thin stamped buckles.
Yeah.
So if that's correct, and it should be worn on the left-hand side, then it would be upside
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
So the sailing ship.
Is there any known lore about displaying an anchor upside down at all? Has anyone ever looked into that?
I think there is, but I'm not.
Okay.
I can't speak on what exactly the meaning of that would be.
Now, speaking of sailing, this is exactly the kind of ship that came right into the harbor in San Francisco and brought most of the miners.
It actually looks like
Clipper ship, right?
a clipper ship. It looks just like the Flying Cloud, which set the speed record from Boston to California. I believe it was 86 days,
Wow.
which was about twice as fast as most of the ships.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. Nice.
Again, we can't confirm it is the Flying Cloud, but it looks very similar to the Flying Cloud. And definitely a model of all the other clipper ships that came to California.
And we're putting a little bit of a history into showing you some of this stuff, and we'll talk about this real quick too. It's funny because a lot of these ships would come in like this, these big, beautiful ships that they would make a lot of money just bringing people back and forth on, but the ship would get here and the entire crew would desert the ship to go dig gold. And a lot of these ships were just scuttled and left right in the harbors because the entire crew, including the captain, would leave to go dig gold and leave the ship there. Just crazy.
Yeah, they actually took the Apollo and the Niantic, 2 of the big store ships, and at high tide, at low tide they dug a channel. High tide, when the water was at its highest, they brought those things in there, pulled them on up, and anchored them in the sand and made hotels out of it.
Yeah.
Because it was easier and cheaper than building hotels, so they used them for stores and hotels for the miners for the first 3 or 4 years of the gold rush. And,
Wow. Very cool.
yeah. So,
Okay, so we have a bunch of other buckles, but man, this is the most incredible collection of 50s, 1850s suspender clips I've ever seen, and probably one of the better collections known.
so I've been working on this a little while, and I can just tell you a few things about this. These heart-shaped ones are what they call, and focus on this one, Mark, it's one of the more detailed ones, Benedict's patent. And on the back, you'll see a 2-pin system. That 2 pins undid from the clip and stuck in your suspender cloth. From that would be a saddle, a ring, and then 2 leather straps to the buttons on your pants. That's how the suspender worked.
Okay.
But these are Benedict's patent. There's Jenny Lind featured on this one. There's the Oddfellows motif on this one. And then just a bunch of flower motifs. But here's another one. Winfield Scott, Major General, USA. Very prominent and famous Army officer. Mexican War. So
Wow.
here's another Jenny Lind in a shield shape, and another Jenny Lind that's probably not a suspender, but I haven't identified what it was.
Yeah.
And then here's the Massachusetts State Seal. These are super ornate, really fun, and are found mainly in California.
Yeah, isn't that something?
And then, of course, here's one that Mark found, is this fantastic eagle. And it's just, a super, super nice piece. This one is a fireman pumper cart, a fire brigade, a fireman putting out a flaming building.
Wow. Very nice. Look at this guy too. Wow.
And there's another fancy eagle,
What's it say on the bottom?
E pluribus unum.
Okay. Yeah.
And then here's a patent, you can see patented 1850. That's how early these are.
Wow.
And this one, when you flip over, same
We don't see anything patent 1850, do we? That's crazy. Yeah.
1850. So
Yeah.
again, for the 1850 style, always look for the rivet in the saddle. These should have the rivet. The ones that don't, it's broken off.
Yeah. Okay. That's Oddfellows there. This design.
This one here is Oddfellows, shows the hand.
What are these?
Oh, these three are also all
Yeah.
Oddfellows.
Yeah. They have the rings on there.
Yeah.
Wow. Incredible.
Very fun stuff. And I'm just kind of learning about these, so I'm gathering together what I can.
Yeah, if you have some of these, any of these in here, you should get a hold of Max and talk about what you have, because he's working on trying to get all the information on this stuff.
Yeah, at least we'll put together something in a online form where you can share information and share photos of ones that I don't have, or if you have ones you want identified, send me pictures.
Yeah.
I'll try and identify them.
Sounds good.